YouTube? What's up, Raider Nation? It's 510 Raider, and I'm here to give you my thoughts on the Raiders versus Panthers game. Now, after the Raiders beat the Ravens last week, I ended up watching the Chargers and Panthers game just to kind of get a sense of what to expect from the Panthers. And I noticed a team that couldn't move the ball offensively. They play hard on defense, but as the game went on, they couldn't stop anything. So my expectations coming into this game was if the Raiders come out and play with the same physical intensity that they showed in Baltimore, they should handle business in this game. Then on Monday, when the Panthers announced that they were going to start Andy Dalton, I told myself that it was going to be a much closer game than most fans would expect and anticipate. Now, I still felt that we should have won the game, but it wouldn't surprise me if we lost the game. When the game first started and the Panthers went right down the field and scored, that's when I was like, okay, this is going to be a game. And it wasn't until the Raiders' second offensive drive that they went 97 yards on the field and scored a touchdown. And right away I was like, okay, this will be a game. And for a good quarter and a half, score-wise, it actually was a game. However, the struggles on offense and the struggles on defense were already noticeable. Yeah, we will get stops here and there. We will make a play here or there. But we couldn't get any pressure on Andy Dalton. And he was attacking the middle of our defense the whole time. He didn't have any pressure. Yeah, we sacked him twice. But outside of that, he had no one in his face the whole game. He had all the time in the world to throw the ball. And he carved us up. For me, in the second half, the most irritating thing was it just seemed like we didn't make adjustments. The defense still couldn't stop a lick. The offense still could not get moving. It didn't get moving till late in the second half, where they made the score respectable, but the game wasn't that close. I like how Antonio Pierce called the team out. When Benny Bonsignor asked him a question, he literally said, "We got our ass kicked," which is a fact. Our offensive line got bullied. Our defensive line got bullied. The Panthers were able to do whatever the hell they wanted all game. Now, I'm not saying that I thought this game would be the Raiders coming out party. I just thought that based on what I had seen from the Panthers in the previous game and some highlights from week one, that this would be the game where the Raiders showed a little bit more light on offense. I thought that we could possibly get 100 yards rushing. I had hoped that Gardner Minshew would throw for 2 touchdowns and not turn the ball over. I just hoped that this would be the game where the Raiders could build off that big win in Baltimore and basically show that they're not going to play down to their competition, which we've seen so many times in years past. When Antonio Pierce took over last season, one thing that I took note of was that the players went out on the field and they actually gave 100% effort. Yeah, the offense had its struggles because it was a complicated scheme, but defensively, we were handling business. In those 9 games, we were the number 1 ranked defense. So that's what really irritated me for this game, was that the Raiders came out like all they had to do was show up to win. Like they didn't have to play hard to earn a win. And under Antonio Pierce, that was irritating. That's why I'm glad he called the team out in his post-game press conference. Now, I know a lot of you were angry, pissed off, disappointed. A lot of you even said it was an embarrassing performance. The reason why I personally was not pissed off is because I don't allow losses to really get to me anymore. However, the way I can explain how I initially felt during the second half is basically just like this. I don't think I'll ever embrace the Raiders being in Las Vegas. I grew up here in the Bay Area, about a good 10 to 15 minute drive from Oakland, depending on traffic. Home openers always hit a little bit different compared to all the other games on the schedule. People would line up at 4 o'clock in the morning waiting for the gates to open at 8 or 8:30. During the second half, I was literally like, I hate to say this because I'll never embrace them being in Las Vegas, but I am so glad I did not wake up at 5, 6 o'clock in the morning to get to the Coliseum by 7 a.m., wait for the gates to open, then go into the parking lot and tailgate for 4 hours just to endure a performance and effort like that. And I understand why a lot of you say it was an embarrassing performance, and that's because this particular team set a standard for themselves last season under Antonio Pierce. The reason why I don't go that far is because I've endured much, much worse losses at Raiders home openers over the years. I don't necessarily need to list any games in particular, but anyone who has watched every Raiders game consistently for the last several years, especially home openers, that's where I'll just say, if you know, you know. It's just seeing the Raiders play down to their competition and lose to teams that they should beat gets old. I was a little surprised that Antonio Pierce put in Aiden O'Connell at the end of the fourth quarter. And by that point in the game, despite the Panthers playing more loosely on defense, it was cool to see Aiden O'Connell go down the field and score a touchdown. But right away, I was like, is he actually going to consider switching quarterbacks for week 4? And when they announced on Monday that they were going to stick with Gardner Minshew, I was a little happy with it, only because I remember Antonio Pierce's words. When he announced Gardner Minshew as a starter, I hope everybody remembers his exact words. He never said, because Gardner Minshew gives us the best chance to win. He specifically said, Gardner Minshew gives us the best chance to get off to a quick start. And Pierce has said that he likes to look at the season in quarters. Even though it's 17 games now, if you're going to go based on a quarter, that's 4 games per month. Well, we just finished our 3rd game. Technically, the first quarter of the season hasn't finished. So I'm glad that he's at least allowing Minshew to start that 4th game. Only thing is, Cleveland is going to be a tougher team because they got a better roster. But let's all hope that this team puts forth a much better effort and performance against the Browns, because 2-2 is a hell of a lot better than 1-3. But that's all I got for y'all tonight. I appreciate y'all tuning in. Like, comment, subscribe. I hope y'all have had a great week, and I hope all of you have a great weekend.